Hello everybody and welcome to a kind of out of order video for me. Normally I do Tuesday, Thursday, but because of the holidays, I was already planning on doing a Wednesday video, which is already uploaded and ready to go. I don't know if it's showing up for members yet, just because I wanted it to be a little bit more of a Wednesday thing, but that's besides the point. And I was going to put out a video on Tuesday, but now why not just put it out on Monday? So originally I was going to do a top 10 this week, and I decided that instead what I would do is I would sit down and I would go through the in-flight report. Honestly, I knew it was happening last weekend, and I thought it might be something that I would cover, but I honestly thought it was going to be like something that was going to be off to the side, just part of like tacked on to the top 10 list that I did. When it actually turned out to be something more substantial, I decided, okay, this warrants, 10, 15 minutes of a video. Let's go and do that. Right off the bat, I want to say, Fantasy Flight, thank you so much for giving us a roadmap for the entire year. I would love to see more of this. I know I'm a small content creator, but I'll also put this right up front. I would love a little bit more communication with more content creators. I realize that's kind of self-serving, but even the challenge videos, even though I don't participate in them, I might, if I knew 24 hours beforehand, I think I would maybe do videos on the challenge stuff. But I bet anybody who does, I think Web Warrior Fanatic does those videos, I think he would really appreciate 24 hours notice on the challenge, that he could have something out ready for it. All that aside, I just want to say kudos for giving us an entire year worth of content. What we're going to be looking at, it really kills the whole is the game dying thing, which I've never prescribed to, but whatever. I'm pretty excited. I'm not somebody that necessarily cared about the street level stuff, but now that we know that Fear No Evil is coming out, and I believe that there was a misunderstanding, and I could be wrong about this, I believe there was a misunderstanding in how it was talked about. Somewhere in there, I think it was said by the person who was telling us about it up on the stage at PAX, that it was a 3-scenario campaign. And when I first heard that, I was a little bummed, just because I was like, okay, well, it looks like we are ramping up the amount of content we should be seeing every year. If that means that this box is a little bit smaller, they just didn't think this needed to be 5 whole scenarios, I can live with that. It sounds like that was just a slip of the tongue, that it actually is a full campaign. Cool. I'm not someone that prescribes to the campaigns anyway, so it's not like I was living or dying by that. But to know that we are seeing Daredevil and Echo leading it up, we've obviously got Typhoid Mary as one of the people. And I think up in the corner, we can probably see that that's Wilson Fisk. I don't know how you do a Daredevil themed box and you don't have Kingpin. I'm excited by this though, because I wanted street level stuff. I talked about a little bit more than a year ago, the 5 kind of scenarios that I'd like to see, whether those be entire campaign boxes or scenario packs. And Shadowland, which is something that we'll get to in a second, was one of the things I had on my list. Honestly, I thought that probably Shadowland would be its own box in Marvel Champions, because Daredevil is not a villain, and because people would want to see Daredevil as a hero. Go anywhere, people will tell you that. I would see it as simplified down to the Hand, possibly led by Elektra, versus street level heroes. Maybe she's also a hero, and they don't want to do that. So then maybe it becomes a Kingpin-led Hand versus street level heroes, meaning that the affected heroes in this instance would be Daredevil, Luke Cage, Spider-Man, even though we have plenty of Spider-Man, but he was in the event. So was White Tiger, forgot to put her on the list. But then Moon Knight and Iron Fist. But I think one of the things I overlooked was when I selected what heroes could be used for that, I completely just avoided female characters altogether, which was not an intention. I think I was just looking at some of the images from the event itself and didn't even think about the fact that I didn't list off Jessica Jones, I didn't list off White Tiger, which I did call out, but I didn't put it into my formal presentation thing. Didn't even think about Elektra. I think I had Elektra pegged as possibly the leader of the Hand within the confines of the box. But either way, I'm excited by this. I'm excited to hear that the wave is going to essentially be street level heroes. Kind of gives us I guess Civil War kind of diverted from this a little bit, but it kind of gives us a 2-year run where we're kind of avoiding the more bombastic hero stuff. Civil War is, us versus leaders. And so we don't have the the Infinity War, going into space to fight Magneto kind of stuff. And I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of okay with us drawing it back. We would want an espionage campaign, and now we'll have one campaign that is just kind of street level. I think Echo is a wonderful hero to pair with Daredevil. They both kind of play out the same things. He can't see, she can't hear. How does that work? My only reservation is just that it's a little unfortunate because I do like Echo as... I like Echo as a character, but I also like her as Ronin. At one point, Hawkeye becomes Ronin. That's his moniker for a little bit, but then... No, actually, no. Originally... Oh gosh, am I misremembering this? I feel like originally Echo is underneath the mask. You find that out, and then when Hawkeye comes back from the dead, he takes on the moniker. I could be misremembering that. I'm sorry. I felt so confident when I started that sentence, and now I'm not sure. But either way, this looks cool. Typhoid Mary, Echo, Daredevil, almost absolutely we're going to see Kingpin. I'm jazzed. Paired with that, we're going to have Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, who I mistakenly predicted was going to be part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wave. That could be Jessica Jones. That makes a certain amount of sense. So Echo, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and don't know what I was thinking. In a S.H.I.E.L.D. wave, let's put in some street level heroes. But I honestly, Silk's scarf in her alter ego looked a lot like just the general look of Jessica Jones. But I think this is going to be really exciting. Don't necessarily love two heroes coming out on the same day. It becomes a lot of work. At the same time, if there was going to be a pair that was going to come out together, this should be the pair. I'm happy to see both these characters get to be heroes because I think that there is a wealth of content for them, and I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, we don't know anything other than just that the PAX exist, but still, I'm excited. Next up, we are going to, and we'll get to the full map in a little bit in case you haven't seen it, in case you haven't seen the in-flight, to give you a much better idea of when all this stuff's coming out. But then we've got Shadowland. I guess kudos to Fantasy Flight for taking my idea of do a Daredevil story, and that was just going to be the entire thing. But now we're going to actually see an entire year. 2026 is going to be just about Daredevil-related content, and I think that's really cool. I didn't perceive at the time that they would make Daredevil a villain. And obviously, right here in the image, it's pretty clear Daredevil is going to be a villain in this scenario. And I think this is the one that's going to have 3 scenarios. It's going to be like the Mojo pack that had 3 scenarios. I don't know if Daredevil's going to be a villain. It sure looks like he is. And so I don't know if this is going to be more of a 2 scenarios and then a pack for Civil War PvP content. I think at some point we're going to divorce ourselves from the whole Civil War being exclusively PvP content. I have to wonder if we're going to see a leader Daredevil. I've been around I've been around card games long enough to know that there is a lead time of 2 years most of the time for card games. And I also know that companies tend to be a little skittish if they sit there and they go, this is a good idea, but what if the player base just doesn't like it? They'll go 66% on something like that. And I don't know if they're going to be so confident in the PvP that they would make a third of their scenario pack into more content for PvP. It's possible. I don't know, though. I think it would be a bold thing, and this certainly looks like it's possible that could happen. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to see a version of Matt Murdock who is a villain. Don't know that for sure. Sure looks like it, and I don't know how you make this your teaser image and not have him be the person that you're fighting at some point in there. But I fully support the idea that heroes should be heroes, villains can be turned into heroes, but that there's no point when a there's no point when a hero is tagged as the villain. I don't really want to go up against, and even now, still, I don't want to go up against Tony Stark villain. I don't want to go up against Steve Rogers villain. And I don't care if that is a mandate from Fantasy Flight or that's a mandate from Marvel. I fully support the idea that the heroes should be heroes. I understand that scuffles happen. I understand that PvP, that's how you make PvP work. Long-winded for something we know nothing about. But those are my predictions. I want to make bold predictions about what this is going to be. And I think it could very well be 2 scenarios and more content for PvP. Then later on, we're going to see Elektra and Iron Fist. I'm happy to see this because I'm happy to see that we're going to see all of the defenders. And I think Elektra, I remember at one point, I think it was in the Discord for Critical Encounters, I joked that Elektra, that the Daredevil we get would be the Elektra Daredevil. And I think that she has an awesome costume, which is why I was kind of like saying it as a joke, but kind of like 60% being like, but what if it was true? But I'm happy to see that we're going to see Elektra as a hero, hoping that it's going to be like Nebula, where in the campaign we fight Elektra, and then you kind of get to unlock the secret character and play as Elektra, you know, throughout the game. My hope is that all of these characters, like you look at Jessica Jones, you look at Echo, you look at Daredevil, Luke Cage, Elektra, and Iron Fist, I feel like all 6 of these characters feel different. Their powers, their training, everything feels different. Elektra, admittedly, might be a little close to Daredevil in just like the martial arts part, which I suppose even Iron Fist is kind of the same. They're all distinct enough that I think that these are going to be 6 interesting, distinct heroes. And I'm hoping that as we're going into, I'll mention that too, as we're going into the current legacy breakdown, that we will have these very distinct heroes that all are really good flagships for where we're going in the future. That's my hope. Hopefully that's what happens. So yes, then we have the timeline. So in the spring of 2026, we're going to see Wonder Man and Hercules released. Then summer, we're going to see Fear No Evil. Doing this in late November of 25, that seems like a long ways away. At the same time, it's going to come like a bullet train. I'm guessing probably very soon after Fear No Evil. I don't think it's going to be necessarily like the X-Men or the Guardians, where it's the same day, but I wouldn't be surprised if basically 3 weeks later we get Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Could be the same day. I don't know if they're going to do that. That's stacking a lot of content on top of itself, but you know, whatever. And then in the fall, we will see Shadowland, and in the winter, which tells you that it is distinctly going to be different than Shadowland, probably around this time next year, around Thanksgiving, we will see Elektra and Iron Fist. I think this is a really cool year. I realize that from an outside perspective, this probably seems a little sparse. I'm on the outside perspective too. But I think that just by letting us know what the year looks like, it gives content creators an idea of how to cadence their stuff. And as people who are just playing the game, it gives you the ability to say, hey friend, if you want to get into this, I think this is going to be 2026. I think is going to be a good year to get people into the game. People that like Daredevil, this is going to be the year to get them into the game. I think the game has always been rising. I think this is going to be a rocket ship rise for the game, and I'm excited by that. But additionally, and I forgot about this as I was talking through everything, and it's sort of mentioned very briefly, but the Fantasy Flight representative said that we should be expecting a rules update sometime in December, and part of that was the beta for, and I don't think he said it clear enough, but I'm pretty sure he meant the beta rules for the formats. I don't know if I'm on the record of saying this, but I'll put it on the record now. I really wish that when they announced Legacy and Current, they gave us more firm ideas of what that was going to be, because now we've had almost a year of people just sort of freaking out. What is going on? What's happening? I can't get product. There's all this FOMO. Things are going out of print. I didn't know that was going to happen. I would have bought these things up faster. And I think that if they had just given us a little bit more of an idea of like, when we say things are going to be in print for this long, okay, thing I think that they made a mistake on. Don't say 2 or 3 years. Say 3 years. Say 2 years. Let's just be honest. Don't waffle and say, well, we might take things out of print after 2 years. We might take them out of print after 3 years. Just say things are going to be in print for how long they're going to be in print. And I think that plays a little bit more fair. Does it suck that there's a lot of content that's just evaporating before 2026 when they said all this was going to come into focus? Yes. But let's see what the beta is, what it all looks like, so that we can all plan accordingly. I have everything except for the Wrecking Crew, because everyone always made the Wrecking Crew sound like something you don't need. So I'm in a privileged position, but I'm also in the position where I think that people that are watching this video are watching Web Warrior Fanatics or Oliver Cards, Nelson Oliver Cards. If you are watching those bigger content creators, you are plugged into the game. There are people that know these games, whether it be Arkham, which I'm also excited by, but I'm not going to talk about in this video because I'm not that channel. I'm excited by the content we saw from that though. But if you are an Arkham or a Marvel Champions player, it's possible that you only know the game through what you see when you walk into your local comic book store, your local game store, your local, I guess Game by James is like a local comic or like a local store, but like, you know, your hobby shops. All you know is what's on the shelf. You don't know about this roadmap. You don't know what's coming. You weren't expecting an in-flight report. You're not concerned about what came out in 2021. You just want what's coming out in 2026. So I think that just by being transparent and saying, here's for the enfranchised players, here's what you need to expect, I think that would have been a much better look. At the same time, I'm not in marketing. I'm not part of Fantasy Flight. I'm not trying to criticize them. I'm just saying I think that as a person who is experiencing this game, as somebody who loves this game, who's making this content out of the love of the game, I think just a little bit more transparency would have been cool. But that's my minor nitpick. I'm not here to make hot takes, really. Apparently, the only hot takes I can make is what the best Identity Specific allies are. That's a separate video. I'll put it up in the corner. But either way, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking through all this. I'm excited for 2026. I want to see what this is all going to be. It seems pretty great. I'm happy for all the people that wanted Daredevil. I think Daredevil is going to be awesome. And I think out of all these heroes, I'm most excited for Elektra because I think she's the most different. I think she's the most surprise. She's not a big surprise. She's not a Miss Marvel or a Deadpool. I think a lot of people would not have expected Deadpool to enter the game. All these heroes seem on the level. Actually, you know what? Out of all these characters, now looking at the roadmap again, I think Wonder Man. Sorry, he's over here. I think Wonder Man is like the what? Here, yeah, I'm excited. This looks pretty cool. I think it's also going to be nice because this is going to be, for me, I don't have a lot of expectations, so I'm going to get to be surprised. I wanted Shadowland. We're getting some form of Shadowland. I'm excited by that. But I have been talking for long enough. I'm going to let you go now. I will see you on Wednesday for a super long video. Believe me, it is super long. But thank you for your time. Have a great day and keep yourself safe. You're doing great. Keep it up.